Sean has to take responsibility for what he did as an individual. Sean is the one who pulled that gun out. Sean is the one who shot. So he has to take responsibility for that.
Now on ABC News Live, a judge has denied bail for Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, this was the hip-hop mogul's latest bid for freedom as he remains in federal jail for his racketeering and trafficking case.
This type of headline seems to have been lifted directly from a scandalous Hollywood script. A significant court decision has permitted a woman to accuse Jay-Z and Diddy, two of the biggest names in music, of horrible crimes in order to conceal her identity, at least for the time being. If the accusations weren't enough to start a firestorm, the judge overseeing the case recently delivered a harsh rebuke directed at Jay-Z's well-known attorney, calling his legal time and money are wasted on maneuvers. So how do we get here? Let's examine the complex web of legal disputes, allegations, and high-stakes legal drama that has left the hip-hop industry in shock.
Is balancing the public's need for information and the defense's need for information so they can prepare for trial versus the effect that this will have on the alleged victim and her psyche. And obviously the world knows that as soon as her name is revealed, everyone is going to come down on her, from the media to his attorneys to the social media.
It is necessary to turn back time in order to comprehend the seriousness of this most recent verdict. Shodded since late last year, Combs has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. What began as a series of lawsuits turned into a major legal catastrophe. The accusations against Combs paint a disturbing picture of decades of misconduct, and the sheer volume of accusations, dozens of cases from both men and women, have only increased the scrutiny surrounding his once glittering image. Combs is facing not only numerous civil claims but also federal charges so serious that he has been sitting in a New York detention center for months.
And we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of raping a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit.
However, the shockwaves didn't end with Combs in October. One lawsuit in particular caught everyone's attention, filed by a woman going by the pseudonym Jane Doe. It accused communications of horrific acts at an afterparty back in 2000. At first, the story seemed like just another piece of an already explosive puzzle, but in December, the suit was amended to include none other than Jay-Z himself. Yes, one of the most well-known musicians, a billionaire mogul with an untouchable reputation, was now being accused of unspoken acts alongside his longtime associate. Jay-Z has vehemently denied the accusations, calling them ridiculous, and even accusing the plaintiff's attorney, Tony Busby, of trying to demand money from him.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was sexually assaulted by both men.
What exactly does Jane claim happened that night? According to her lawsuit, it all started outside the MTV Video Music Awards in September 2000. When she was a young adolescent, she allegedly met one of Combs' limousine drivers near the venue. The driver allegedly told her that she was what Diddy was looking for and invited her to a private afterparty later that evening. The events described in her lawsuit allegedly took place at a lavish white mansion surrounded by a gated fence, where she was met by a crowd of familiar faces, including a mix of celebrities and partygoers engaging in various forms of behavior after being offered a drink, according to Jane. Made her feel ill, and she claims that after taking cover in an upstairs room, Coles and two unidentified famous visitors followed.
He is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, you know, it is scary because you think, you know, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
Although the details of what allegedly transpired next are extremely disturbing, the lawsuit's December addendum was what truly made the internet go crazy. When Jane Doe formally identified Jay-Z as one of the people in the room that evening, he had previously only been mentioned as a celebrity in court documents, a mysterious figure whose identity was the focus of much conjecture. Now that his name is public knowledge, Jay-Z finds himself at the center of an illegal and media frenzy. His devoted La Alex SPO wasted no time in responding, calling the allegations wholly false and demanding that Jane Doe disclose her true name.
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?"
SBO's approach is obvious. Dissect the accuser by pointing out inconsistencies in her story in court filings. He's brought attention to a number of alleged contradictions, such as statements Jane made in a recent interview with a major news outlet. According to Spyro, Jane said her father drove her home after the alleged incident, but he reportedly told investigators he doesn't remember ever making such a trip. She also mentioned talking to a well-known musician at the party, only for that musician's team to later confirm he wasn't even in New York at the time. Finally, there is the timeline, where Spyro maintains that pictures from that evening show Jay-Z and communications at completely different locations following the award show, further casting doubt on Jane's account. Events.
It's obviously getting a whole new wave of attention and more focused attention on this victim. So I think it's going to be tied to the media cycle, if I had to guess, and how these rulings continue. And they have this celebrity name that is sort of waiting to take over the headlines when they choose to release it. So I think it will be added, but it's going to be a strategic time.
If I had to guess, I think it will be related to the media cycle and how these rulings continue, because it's clearly receiving a whole new wave of attention and more focused attention on this victim. They also have this celebrity name that is kind of waiting to take over the headlines when they decide to release it, so I think it will be added, but it's going to be a strategic time.
It's like a short win. It's really much more of a loss for the legal team of Jay-Z and Diddy.
Why would you say that? Because the judge was kind of harsh to Jay-Z and Diddy in her response?
Yeah, this is sort of like, if a child asks you for something and you're trying to teach them a lesson, you say, no, not right now. Go be good for a little while, then come back and ask me again.
However, in her decision to allow Jane to remain anonymous, the judge presiding over the case made it clear that she will not put up with what she perceives to be bullying tactics from Jay-Z's legal team. She specifically criticized Sparrow for filing what she called a litany of combinative motions full of offensive language and personal attacks, saying that these filings were not only inappropriate but also a waste of judicial resources. It's a unique and incisive criticism, particularly in light of Spyro's standing as one of the nation's most sought-after defense lawyers, but it also highlights the fine line the court must walk in a case like this where the stakes are extremely high. The decision is definitely a win for Jane Doe and all parties concerned, even though it is just a temporary one. Unidentified protects her from the criticism and possible retribution that the public would almost definitely experience if her identity were made public, but it has two drawbacks. Since they can't confirm or refute her allegation if they don't know who she is, Jay-Z's legal team has said that anonymity makes it more difficult for them to look into her claims and put up a strong defense. Although Jane can stay nameless for the time being, Judge Torres has made it apparent that this conflict between shielding the accused and guaranteeing a fair trial is a recurrent topic in cases like this one. Might alter as the case develops.
And he's gone on to do incredible things, but he has a very specific style. And there's a lot of people who don't like that style. And Judge Torres is one of them. He's now twice kind of taken the reins and tried to take control of the narrative of cases by putting on sort of these preemptive press conferences. He did it with Mayor Adams, and he did it now with Jay-Z, where he goes to the press and essentially puts on a PowerPoint.
Naturally, the lawsuit's wider ramifications go well beyond the courtroom. For Combs, the accusations are yet another blow to a reputation that has already been tarnished. Once hailed as a trailblazer in music, fashion, and business, he now faces not only the possibility of financial ruin but also the very real possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. For Jay-Z, the stakes are perhaps even higher than for Holmes, who has managed to maintain an image of near-perfect respectability throughout his career, and his name has come to be associated with success, philanthropy, and cultural influence. However, this lawsuit threatens to cast a shadow over that image, and no amount of legal tactics can remove it. These accusations have left a taint, even if he is finally found not guilty.
If you say the wrong thing or you complain or I don't know, there's an element where you're just I guess manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing, or when they're constantly asking you, would you like to do drugs, and you're like, well, I don't do drugs, and they're like, well, why don't you do drugs?
Then there is the issue of Tony Busby, the lawyer for Jane Doe, a divisive figure in the legal community. Busby has established a reputation as a fearless victim advocate who isn't above stirring up controversy to get his point across. He has been accused by some of using high-profile cases to garner publicity for himself, a charge he refutes in this particular case. Jay-Z's team has even accused Busby of planning a shakedown, claiming that he included Jay-Z's name in the case to exert pressure and compel a settlement. For his side, Busby has rejected these allegations as unfounded, maintaining that his sole objective is to secure justice for his client. However, There is an Elephant in Z has strongly denied any involvement in the alleged misconduct of communication, but the fact that his name has been brought into this mess raises uneasy questions about the company he has maintained and the culture of excess that surrounded these well-known parties. The Room is the scene of innumerable other lawsuits related to him, with over 150 alleged victims reportedly coming forward. The scope of the allegations against him is staggering. Many of these cases are being handled by Busby, whose legal team has detailed a pattern of behavior that spans decades and involves numerous high-profile individuals.
It's really Alex Spiro doing the exact opposite thing to help his client, but the judge really didn't like it. And so all of that is to say that this ruling to me is specifically directed at Alex Spiro, saying, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like all the motions you're filing. I don't like how you're going about handling this case. And if you continue to do it, you're not the only one who's got some tricks up their sleeve. I can also do things to make this process more difficult.
The public's response to all of this has been as split as you might expect. On the one hand, some people think the accusations are a part of a larger conspiracy to overthrow powerful black men, citing the fact that Jay-Z has not been charged criminally and that Jane Doe's story is inconsistent as proof of a bigger goal. On the other hand, some people think these lawsuits are long overdue. Taking responsibility for the power abuses in the entertainment business that have long gone unchecked, social media has once again turned into a battlefield for these discussions, with trending topics and hashtags magnifying each new development in the case. Judge Lisa Torres's scathing decision has resulted in the setting for what is expected to be one of the most acrimonious court cases in recent memory, with the judge denouncing Jay-Z's lawyer Alex Spiro for his aggressive tactics and Jane Doe's anonymity being protected for the time being. Although the courtroom drama is just one aspect of a much bigger picture that is becoming more complex as fresh information and accusations surface, both sides are digging in their heels. Once titans of the entertainment industry, Jay-Z and Diddy are now embroiled in a scandal that might permanently alter their reputations. The question is, how far will they go to protect their brands?
You know, a lot of times lawsuits are like playing poker. Like you even when you feign, that you have strength, it could be that you have some weakness in your case. So Busby's never going to say that he doesn't have the evidence. I mean, Busby's always going to say he's got the evidence. He's always going to say, oh, we're going to look at multiple other people, we're going to do all this, because he wants to put that fear.
With the judge refusing to dismiss the case outright, Jay-Z's legal team has changed tactics and adopted a confrontational yet well-calculated approach. Their focus is now on dismantling Jane Doe's claims piece by piece, but they're not only focusing on the contradictions in her story, they're also examining the lawsuit's larger context. Tony Busby, Jane Doe's attorney, has been accused by SP on multiple occasions of masterminding what he describes as a media circus, saying that the lawsuit is more about making headlines than it is about justice. Although Busby has dismissed these accusations, it is impossible to overlook the underlying tension between the two legal teams. It is no longer just a dispute over facts but also one over credibility, and both sides are playing to prevail.
Because he was using, allegedly, these events to invite them back to these private mansion parties and hotel parties and God knows what else. But he was utilizing the branded events to be able to, get the girls to come over to his private spaces.
Meanwhile, the lawsuit's ramifications are spreading beyond the entertainment sector, leaving many people to worry who else might be affected. Jane Doe's lawsuit initially only mentioned Diddy, but her choice to include Jay-Z to the complaint has sparked speculation about the possibility of additional well-known people being involved. The mention of Superstar B and an unidentified female star who was purportedly present at the incident has only served to heighten rumors, with some suggesting Diddy's ex-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez as a potential suspect. Even while there is no hard proof of a potential candidate's involvement, the mere idea of another unidentified celebrity has heightened the curiosity of an already sensational case.
Works the machine here that, you know, Diddy's obviously the head of the whole situation, you know, the king of parties, but there is multiple other people involved that are helping along the situation or, you know, participating in some way.
The stakes may be higher for Jay-Z than for Diddy, who is already dealing with a plethora of legal issues. Even if Jay-Z is eventually found not guilty, the fact that his name has been linked to such serious accusations is enough to leave a lasting stain on his legacy. Jay-Z has built his career on a carefully cultivated image of respectability and success. He is not just a rapper, but also a businessman, philanthropist, and perhaps most importantly, a symbol of Black excellence. His name is synonymous with power and influence, and his marriage to Beyoncé has only increased his status as a cultural icon.
And here's the thing, even if the statute of limitations ran, it doesn't stop her from filing a police report. It doesn't stop her from giving...
And at the heart of it all is Tony Busby, the divisive lawyer famous for his high-profile cases and penchant for the spectacular. Busby has turned quite a contentious figure. Jay-Z's team has accused him of leveraging the lawsuit to further his own reputation, citing his track record of taking on high-profile clients in cases with significant stakes. Given that more than 150 alleged victims have reportedly come forward against Diddy, Busby has positioned himself as the face of a much larger movement that aims to hold powerful men accountable for their actions, even though he has denied these claims as unfounded and insisted that his only objective is to seek justice for his client. It is debatable whether his positioning is genuine or deliberate, but there is no doubting that it has made him a key player in this developing drama.
I agree, and the risk of flight was always going to be a tough argument for the government because obviously Combs voluntarily came to New York. He surrendered his passports through his lawyer. He could have fled after the March raids of his Miami and Los Angeles homes, but he didn't. He has access to 2 private jets. I think it was a tougher argument. I know the government made the argument, but clearly the best argument was the dangerousness and the witness tampering. They had much more evidence.
As the case against Jay-Z and Diddy intensifies, attention is turning more and more to the culture that surrounded them during their ascent to fame. For years, both men were well known for their extravagant parties and lifestyles, which became the stuff of legend in the entertainment industry. However, as more information about what allegedly happened behind closed doors comes to light, former associates and industry insiders are speaking out, painting a picture of a world where privilege and power frequently went unchecked. These revelations are forcing a reckoning not only for Jay-Z and Diddy but also for the industry as a whole as questions about accountability and complicity come to the fore. The public's response on social media is one of the case's most notable features. The debate surrounding Jay-Z and Diddy has been as divisive as you might expect, with both fans and detractors commenting on every new development. For some, the accusations are nothing more than an attempt to discredit 2 of the most successful Black men in history, a sentiment that has been echoed by several prominent supporters. For others, the case represents a long overdue moment of accountability and an opportunity to reveal the darker side of an industry that has long been accused of condoning bad behavior. The discussions are heated, the opinions are split, and the stakes are impossible in many respects to be equally important in deciding the case's outcome as the actual courtroom.
Well, Combs is separated from the general population, right? He's with, or was with Sam Bankman-Fried at least, and the irony there is that someone who was granted bail tried to tamper with witnesses, so the judge revoked his bail. So that just goes to show how these federal judges feel about witness tampering before trial.
However, as the controversy continues, Jay-Z's legal teams are quietly getting ready for the battles that lie ahead, which includes keeping up their pressure for Jando Doe's identity to be made public, a move that his team claims is necessary to establish a defense judge. Although Torres has so far opposed these attempts, her decision allows for reconsideration as the case develops. If Jane Doe's name is eventually revealed, it might be a watershed moment. Changing the emphasis from the accusations to the accuser's credibility is undoubtedly a risk, but Jay-Z's team appears prepared to accept it.
What it shows, what the complaint is illustrating, is this completely out of control party on a super yacht, including various celebrities, that when you read it, it kind of rings true. I mean, when you read it, it doesn't come off as being something that's...
Considering that Jay-Z's participation in the lawsuit is a very new development, what about Diddy? Diddy has been battling these accusations for months, and his legal team has taken a similar stance, calling the claims unfounded and accusing Busby of planning a smear campaign. However, with more than 30 civil lawsuits and a federal investigation looming over his head, Diddy's situation is much more precarious. The sheer volume of accusations against him has made it harder for his team to mount a cohesive defense, and the possibility of more criminal charges looms large for Diddy. The stakes are not just professional, they are personal, and the case's outcome could potentially dictate the rest of his existence. What do you think? Could these accusations be more complex than they first appear, or are they all part of a well-planned smear campaign? How might these revelations alter the legacies of two of the biggest figures in hip-hop? Please leave a comment below with your ideas, and remember to like. Until the next time, subscribe for more updates and info on celebrities. Keep an eye out and remain informed.